Now you will learn how to have infinite energy, the kind of energy that allows you to fully enjoy life. The right way to discover it is hidden in one of the most beautiful sayings of the Taoist master Chuang Tzu, a disciple of Lao Tzu. The saying goes, "When an archer shoots for pleasure, he displays all his skill. If he shoots to win a bronze buckle, he becomes nervous. If he shoots to win a gold medal, he goes blind, or sees two targets. He is beside himself. His skill has not changed, but the prize divides him. He becomes anxious. He thinks more about winning than about shooting, and the desire to win drains his power. When an archer shoots for pleasure, he displays all his skill." Now let us go deeper into these beautiful words of Chuang Tzu. First of all, when you play, you are not trying to prove that you are somebody. You feel at home within yourself. When you play simply for fun, you are not concerned with what others think about you. Have you ever seen a father playfully wrestling with his child? He allows himself to be defeated. He falls to the ground, and the child sits on his chest laughing, saying, "I won." And the father feels happy. It is just for fun. When you are playing, you can lose and still feel joyful. Play is not serious, it is not connected to the ego. The ego is always serious. Remember this, whenever you are serious, you will be confused, inwardly divided. Now, an anecdote. A German philosopher named Eugen Herrigel went to Japan to learn meditation. In Japan, they use many different disciplines as gateways into meditation. Archery is one of them. Herrigel was already a perfect archer, 100% accurate. He never missed. Because of this, he went to a master to learn meditation through archery, since he was already highly skilled in the technique. 3 years passed, and Herrigel began to think it was all a waste of time. The master kept insisting that he should not shoot. He told Herrigel, "Let the arrow release itself. Do not stand there with your desire. Let the arrow depart on its own." It sounded absurd. To a Westerner, especially, it seemed completely nonsensical. Herrigel thought, "What do you mean, let the arrow shoot itself? How can an arrow shoot itself? I must do something." And yet he continued hitting the target every single time. But the master said, "The target is not really the target. You are the target. I am not watching whether you hit the mark or not. That is mechanical skill. I am watching you to see whether you are there or not there. Shoot for pure pleasure. Enjoy it. Do not try to prove that you never miss. Do not try to confirm the ego. The ego is already there, you are already there is no need to prove it. Relax, and allow the arrow to shoot itself." Herrigel could not understand. He tried again and said, "If my aim is perfect, why don't you give me the certificate?" The Western mind is always interested in the final res. Ult. The Eastern mind is concerned with the beginning, not the end. For the Eastern mind, the end is not important. The importance lies at the beginning, in the archer, not in the target. And so the master said no. Completely discouraged, Herrigel asked permission to leave. He said, "I must go. 3 years is a long time, and I have gained nothing. You keep telling me that I am still the same." The day of his departure came. He went to say goodbye to the master and found him teaching other disciples. That morning Herrigel was no longer interested. He had already abandoned the whole project. He sat quietly, waiting for the master to finish so he could say farewell and leave. And then, for the first time in 3 years, he truly looked at the master. For the first time, he really looked. The master was doing nothing. It was as if the arrow were shooting itself. He was not serious. He was enjoying himself, playing. There was no someone trying to hit the target. The ego is always oriented toward a goal. Pleasure has no goal. Pleasure is already present at the very beginning, the moment the arrow leaves the bow. If it hits, it is accidental. If it strikes the target, it does not matter. Whether it hits or misses, what difference does it make? But when the arrow leaves the bow, the archer should be savoring the moment, not being serious. When you are serious, you are tense. When you are not serious, you are relaxed. And when you are relaxed, you are. When you are tense, the ego is. You are hidden behind it. For the first time, Herrigel saw. Because now he was no longer concerned. It was no longer his project. He had already accepted failure. There was nothing left to prove. He looked, and it was as if the arrow were being released by itself. The master was giving energy, not forcing it. There was no effort. Herrigel watched, and in that moment, he understood. As if spellbound, he stood up, approached the master, took the bow in his hands, and drew the string. The master said, "You have done it. This is what I have been telling you for 3 years." The arrow had not even been released yet. And the master said, "It is finished. You have reached the goal." In that moment, he was enjoying himself. He was not serious. He was not oriented toward any goal. This is the difference. Pleasure has no objective. Pleasure is its own end. It has intrinsic value, nothing exists beyond it. You enjoy it. That is all. There is no purpose. You play with it. That is all. Chuang Tzu says, "When an archer shoots for pleasure, he displays all his skill. When you shoot purely for joy, there is no conflict within you. There are not two, there is no tension. Your mind is not somewhere else. It is not moving toward the future. It is not divided. And when the mind does not move, you are one. Only then can you unfold your true capacity." There is a story about a Zen master, a painter, who was designing a new temple. It was his custom to keep his chief disciple beside him. He would sketch a design, turn to the disciple, and ask, "What do you think?" And the disciple would reply, "It is not worthy of you." So the master would discard it. This happened 99 times. 3 months passed. The king was becoming impatient, wanting to know when the design would be ready so construction could begin. One day, while the master was drawing, the ink ran out. The disciple had to leave the room to prepare more. While he was gone, the master continued sketching. When the disciple returned and looked at the drawing, he said, "You have done it. Why could you not accomplish this during the past 3 months?" The master replied, "It was because of you. You were sitting beside me, and I was divided. You were watching me, and I became goal-oriented. The joy disappeared. When you left, I relaxed. I felt that no one was observing me, and I became one. This design was not made by me. It came by itself. For 3 months nothing emerged because I was the do. When your whole being is available, something entirely different appears, a beauty, a grace, a new quality of being. When you are divided, serious, tense, you become ugly. You may succeed, but your success will lack beauty. You may prove that you are somebody, but you are not proving anything real, you are only constructing an image. When you are whole, relaxed, unified, you simply are. Perhaps no one knows you, but you are. And this quality of totality is blessing. It is bliss. It is grace. This is what happens in meditation. Meditation means totality. So remember, meditation should be done for joy, not as a task. Do not practice it like a religious duty. Practice it like a player. Do it for pleasure, like an athlete, not like a businessman. Be playful, and then all technique will flower by itself. You will not be needed. No effort is needed. Only your total being must be available. Your total energy must be present. And then the flower blossoms on its own. Chuang Tzu continues. If he shoots to win a bronze buckle, he becomes nervous. If he shoots to win a gold medal, he goes blind, or sees two targets. He is beside himself. If he competes for something, if there is something to attain, he is already anxious. Fear enters. He becomes divided. One part of the mind says, you may win. Another part says, you may lose. Now he is split in two. And whenever you are divided, your whole being becomes distorted. Go to the marketplace and observe those who crave gold. They are blind. Gold blinds the eyes more than anything else. When you are overly hungry for success, overly ambitious, obsessed with results, you begin to see double. You become intoxicated. There are now two targets. And in your rush to hit them, you begin trembling inside. Everyone is beside themselves. It is not only the insane who are mad. You are mad too. The difference is only one of degree. Al. It'll more heat, and at 100 degrees, water boils. At 99 degrees it is almost there. The difference between those in asylums and those outside is only quantitative, not qualitative. We are all mad, because we are all chasing goals. We must obtain something. And with that comes nervousness, inner trembling. And when you tremble within, the target multiplies, doubles, quadruples, and you can no longer shoot straight. Remember, the perfect archer is always joyful. A perfect human being lives life as play. Look at Krishna. If Chuang Tzu had known him, he would have loved him. Krishna lives in joy. He has no goal whatsoever. The flute player dances, sings, celebrates. He is not going anywhere. Everything is already here. Why worry about the result? Why not enjoy this moment? Krishna represents the perfect human being, if joy is the sign of perfection. In India, they call Krishna's life his play. It is not a duty. It has no purpose. It is purposeless, like a small child. You cannot ask a child, "What are you doing?" You cannot ask, "Why are you doing it?" He runs after butterflies, for no reason at all. What will he achieve by jumping toward the sun? Nothing. There is no goal. Chuang Tzu continues. His skill has not changed, but the prize divides him. He becomes anxious. He thinks more about winning than about shooting, and the desire to win drains his power. If you feel powerless, exhausted, depleted, it is because of this inner division. No one is stealing your energy. You possess infinite sources of energy, inexhaustible. And yet you appear tired, as if you might collapse at any moment. Where does all that energy go? It turns into inner conflict. Your skill remains the same, but you are divided. There is a story. In a small village there once lived a poor boy, the son of a beggar. He was young and strong. So strong that whenever the king's elephant passed through the village, the boy would grab the elephant's tail, and the elephant could not move. This became embarrassing for the king. There he sat on the elephant, while crowds gathered and laughed, all because of the son of a beggar. The king called his prime minister and said, "We must do something. This is humiliating. I am afraid to pass through that village." The boy even travels to other towns. Wherever he sees the elephant, he grabs its tail, and it cannot move. The prime minister replied, "I must consult a wise man. I do not know how to drain his energy. If he had a shop, that would drain him. If he worked as a clerk, that would drain him. If he were a school teacher, that would drain him. But he has nothing to do. He lives for enjoyment. People love him and feed him. He eats, he sleeps, he laughs. It will be difficult, but I will try." So he went to an old sage. The sage said, "Do one thing. Tell the boy you will give him 1 gold coin every day, in exchange for a small task. The task is simple. Every evening, he must go to the village temple and light the lamp. That is all. Give him 1 gold coin per day." The prime minister was confused. "But how will this help? You are making him richer. He will eat better. He will grow even stronger." The sage replied, "Do not worry. Just do as I say." And so it was done. A week later, when the king passed again, the boy tried to stop the elephant, but he failed. He was dragged along the ground. What had happened? Worry had entered. Anxiety had entered. For 24 hours a day, he now had to remember, "I must go to the temple at sunset. I must light the lamp. I must not forget." Even in his sleep, he dreamed that the prime minister was shouting, "What are you doing? Go light the lamp, or you will lose your coin." He began collecting the gold coins. 7, 8. Then he started calculating. How long until he had 100? Then 200? Mathematics entered. Pleasure disappeared. It was such a tiny task, only a minute of work. Just lighting a lamp. But worry had entered his being. And worry divided him. That division drained all his energy. If you are exhausted, do not be surprised. You have too many temples to attend to. Too many lamps to light. Too many calculations to make. Your life cannot be joyful under such conditions. Chuang Tzu says, "The archer's skill has not changed. The ability remains the same. But when he shoots for pleasure, his entire skill is available. When he shoots for reward, the prize divides him. Anxiety appears. Nervousness enters. He is no longer interested in shooting, only in winning. The focus shifts from the beginning to the end. And whenever the end becomes more important than the process, your energy becomes divided. Everything that can be done must be done through the how and never through the result. The result is never in your hands. Krishna says to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, "Do not worry about the result. Perform the action and leave the outcome to the divine. Do what must be done, here and now. Do not ask what will happen. No one knows. Focus on the how, and not on the goal." This teaching is beautifully illustrated in the story of Arjuna, because Arjuna was one of the greatest archers India has ever known. His skill was absolute, but the goal entered his mind. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, standing between two armies, Arjuna became divided. On both sides stood friends, teachers, relatives. It was a war between cousins, a family war. And seeing those he loved facing him, something broke inside. He said to Krishna, "My energy is leaving me. My body trembles. My bow, the Gandiva, feels too heavy in my hands. My mind is confused. I cannot think clearly." His skill had not changed, but his mind had become divided. He began thinking about the consequences. What will happen after this war? So many deaths, so much destruction. What will I gain? A kingdom built on corpses. He said, "I would rather leave. I would rather go to the forest and meditate." Krishna replied, "Do not think about the result. It is not in your hands. And do not imagine that you are the doer. The divine is the doer, you are only an instrument." In Sanskrit there is a beautiful word, nimitta. It has no exact equivalent in English. Nimitta means you are merely the medium through which something happens. Like a postman delivering a letter. If the letter contains insults, you do not become angry at the postman. You do not ask him, "Why did you bring this to me?" He did not write it. He did not create it. He is only the carrier. Krishna tells Arjuna, "You are like that postman. Death has already happened in the invisible. You are only the instrument through which it becomes visible. If you do not act, someone else will. If one postman is absent, another will deliver the letter. The letter must be delivered." Krishna says, "Do not be concerned with outcomes. Act in totality. Act without division." Arjuna's weakness was not physical. It was psychological. His energy had not disappeared, it had turned into inner conflict. One part said, "Move forward." Another said, "Stop." Whenever you are divided, you feel powerless. Whenever you are unified, you are strong. Desire divides you. Meditation unifies you. Desire pulls you toward the future. Meditation brings you back to the present. The moment you notice your mind moving into the future, into expectation, into anxiety, return. Come back home. Again and again you will forget. Again and again you will return. Slowly, you begin to live in the present. And when you live in the present, life becomes play. Energy overflows. And that overflow is bliss. When you are exhausted, you cannot dance. To dance, you need infinite energy. When you are drained, you cannot sing. Song is always an overflow. When you are inwardly dead, you cannot pray. Prayer arises only when you are fully alive. When you are whole, when you are not divided, gratitude naturally flows from your heart. And that gratitude is meditation.